Good morning. I am very happy to finally get the screen up, and so I have an opportunity to do this video. The reason I wanted to do a video is that I think I should really talk about Ra as not being that nice of a human being. You hear me with my very weak voice, and without a doubt, this all started from this curse Ra made to me in August of 99. And that was that I went optic neuritis, blind in my left eye for about 6 weeks. And that started this process of frying my nervous system. Optic neuritis is an MS symptom. And by now I think if MS was all I was dealing with, yippee, but it isn't. I have more nervous system disorders, and everything that affects me is autoimmune. Anyway, because of the rising popularity of Ra's interpretation, I think I have to state my view once anyway. Um, the first thing that you should think about is Ra really was a psychopath. And, he told me in maybe March or earlier. I know he was still in town, so maybe it was February of 99. And then he had said, without me, you are nothing. And so he made quite a big deal that I was to destroy. So I think maybe you might have come across some of his defamation, his accusations. I did an earlier video on what I think was his main objective with the slander, that he would make everyone in the human design community know that they should avoid me at all cost. And there were many years until he died that people would call me or send an email defending Ra to me. This was so common that people, and I think undefined heart centers, would defend Ra so fanatically to me. And I know that that is related to him telling stories about me. The main thing was in January 99, I knew that his interpretation that we had worked to put together didn't work. That meant no one took all the classes and did everything, could read a chart. And that was what I said. Oh, we have to change the training. And he then made his own determination that he would take care of it. He told me not to worry. And I think I totally believed him not to worry. Anyway, what I want to do is give you some antidotes from his life so that you can know a little more whether or not you would want this man to be your model of how to live your life. I think that is one of the scariest things, to take Ra as the mentor, to tell you, here I'm using this strategy and this authority, and I know everything because this is the program that the person who received this system reported. So I just want to tell you some of the things I know. And one, without a doubt, that shock he gave me in August 99, that started me down this longer road, that I do think it was a curse. He absolutely slammed me, shocked me to my core, and I went blind then for some weeks. Anyway, the thing that I think it is also useful maybe for you to think about is he really was a psychopath. And that meant, I mean, look at the definition. He doesn't care about other people, or didn't care about other people. He was charming and very interested in his own um, ability to I have some problem on the screen, so this takes me a minute to X out, and my hands jitter so much. It's hard to use a keypad to get the cursor. Anyway, without a doubt, one of the stories that affected me enormously, let's see, I think it's gone at any rate, was the story about his wife. I don't know if that was the first or the second wife. I think the story of him being disowned by his father was because he was so unrespectful or not respectful of his first wife. He had married somebody and then slept around, and his father found it distasteful. But this is vague to me. I know he was at University of Toronto, not Toronto, Vancouver, and his father disowned him, which I think plays a role in the rest. But at any rate, second wife, I think, but I could be wrong, Sarah's mother, Sarah Lenore, his baby girl, was born in the mid-70s sometime. And Ra had a wife with postpartum depression, and he attributes this action to her having postpartum depression. But when I heard the story, I thought, no, man, that lady was screaming, pay attention, I'm hurting here. Anyway, the story is that he came home one winter night, snow-covered ground, and she had shot herself with a rifle, but missed, and the bullet went through the lung instead of her heart. So he came home with, there she was lying in the snow, bloody, and the baby, Sarah, was about a 6-month-old girl, and I think that story really comes to surface when you understand how he dealt with emotionally defined people like me and like her, that he was just attributing everything to the postpartum depression. And I wasn't there. Maybe that was the case, but the story sounded to me like, I'm emotional, so I hurt myself, make myself bleed so that the other knows I hurt. And I think that's a very big part of how we might know something. Anyway, I think that Ra's interpretation is very ungodly, and that means I needed to state once and for all that that interpretation that he came up with, that he would be the person you would follow to live your life according to what he thought, and the generator waiting to respond, or the projector waiting to be invited, it is so questionable. I mean, I think the whole interpretation is flawed, and I would be very happy to do a video on his numerous mistakes and errors, but the fact remains that these are very hard to do, organizing, because I have such fumbly hands. Anyway, the first reason that I am very worried about people following that Jovian program is that you don't actually know how to use a chart, because Ra was so motivated himself to not get blamed. He did an interpretation of, oh, it's my design to be an egoist, and therefore your design, that's not your fault. It's your no choice. And in this, then he would let people get off the hook. This was some very strong understanding that by design, if you are a jerk, it's your design to be a jerk. And I would say that that interpretation of the majesty of human design is one reason that human design doesn't grow very much. It can be used to awaken your spiritual intent. And Ra always was asking those questions. When are you going to drop your white path trips, And I would say, lucky for me, I was with Osho. I was a devotee. I was there early in the 80s. It wasn't the earliest, but I was in the 80s, and I had the privilege of meeting Osho in person. And I was very clear when I met Ra that Ra was not a master. I had been with a master, so I knew the difference. And, I wasn't going to drop it to elevate Ra. Anyway, what else was I going to say? I was going to talk about some of the errors. And one of the things that happens is that I knew channel names didn't work, keynotes didn't work, circuit keynotes didn't work. You would have all these different um, theories that you could add on to a chart. Oh, look at this. This is individual circuitry. Okay, you're a moody person. I mean, what really horrifies me major is all of that um, uh, baby, childhood rearing practice that it came up with, which has to be as scary of a thing as it comes. People using Ra's interpretation to raise their child right. I heard a story that somebody who was so happy to be taking his uh, childhood development class scared me. Oh my God, that this woman said, oh, well, now this person could know that her child not paying attention is because her child has all the deaf gates. And then I would just go, holy shit. You don't use the mother's chart, you don't use the father's chart, you just use the baby's chart, and you are not telling anything except the child can't listen. I mean, we are talking, let's know what we're doing here. The potential for doing a composite with the mother, that the mother is also evaluated, is, uh, how he originally taught human design, which, as you might know, I had to go back to getting rid of all these raw channel names and keywords and circuits because it was really that meme virus. I memorized, oh, that's the channel of such and such. But you never figure out how the chart works. It absolutely starts with centers being defined or undefined. And undefined centers condition us, defined centers, we condition others. Now, it absolutely could be that your parents raised you in a loving way, and so everything in your chart operates lovingly, but we want to be able to look at charts so that we know. Anyway, I wanted to say that it is quite clear Ra cursed me, and I deal with that every day. I don't walk, I can barely talk. It's all autoimmune, and so his threat to destroy me, I think, was something I didn't believe first, and I thought it could never happen, that people would know that I didn't steal from him. But his defamation campaign was so effective that I ended up with only a few human design friends from the old days. And I have a few students now. I mean, not many, but I think that other than my students or Chaitanya, knows how to use human design so that it works. Anyway, I guess I'll stop at this point. But the main thing I wanted to say is I know for 100% certainty that Ra was not a nice man. He was somebody who was very capable of destroying people, and that curse that he cursed me was something that I did not think it was gonna ruin my life. And, my life in that way, it is not ruined. I like life. I'm okay. I am happy enough. I live a very nice way. And so I am not suffering in a psychological sense at all. But I just want you to know that it concerns me that that interpretation he did, it's it will reinforce your ego. It is not something that get out of jail free card serves your life, where you are dismissive of other people because Ra told you that was okay. This is something not to hold up. You could suffer because of taking that viewpoint to heart. Anyway, I think you never get out of jail free. You get to pay, and it's more than $200 when you pass go. It is your psyche and your life. I think the first thing you want to know about treating your world well is understanding who you are, and therefore the chart is wonderful. Now, Ra brought this chart to the world, but no one ever knew if that revelation that he reported happened, and no one knew that his way of seeing it was the only one. Anyway, okay, I hang up.